Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Clips of the Week, brought to you by the Portland Football Officials Association. My name is Tony Fox. We will be reviewing a couple of clips that illustrate one of our points of emphasis from this season. Additionally, we will be reviewing some clips that speak to several different mechanics as we look to prepare for our upcoming contest. Let's take a look at this week's Clips of the Week. So in our first two clips, we want to look at one of our points of emphasis from this season, which is helping or assisting the runner. As a reminder, this is not a new rule, but a point of emphasis for this season. As officials, it's important for us to have game and situational awareness. On this play, it's 4th and 1, and we see the quarterback coming from a shotgun position to under center. And while we need to be prepared for anything and everything, we also know that it's very likely that we might see a quarterback sneak or a quick handoff up the middle as they look to gain the first down. And we're going to see that number 2 takes the snap and does indeed have a quarterback sneak, but we can see their teammate clearly assist them. This is a foul for assisting the runner, and the penalty will be 5 yards from the previous spot. So excellent job by the center judge here being aware of this. So let's compare that to this play. The ball is being snapped from inside the 1. So obviously this is very close to the goal line. The wing should be moving towards the goal line. Our center judge is perhaps a little too close to the line of scrimmage. We'd like to see them 10 to 12 yards from the line of scrimmage. But again, as officials, we need game and situational awareness. This is also a scenario where it's likely that we would see a quarterback sneak or a quick handoff to the running back up the middle. And very similar to the last play, we're going to get a quarterback sneak, and then we're going to have number 24 of the offense put his hands in the back of number 1, and the play results in a touchdown. So we did not have a flag on this play, but we do have assisting the runner by number 24 of the offense, who clearly puts his hands in the back of number 1 and pushes him forward. So just a reminder that this is not a new rule, but it is a point of emphasis this season. So this is the opening kickoff of the game. In fact, the opening kickoff of the season. And we want to make sure that we are lined up correctly. So as we see on this play here, we actually have 2 officials that are on the 50-yard line, the returner's restraining line. And we want to make sure that our head linesman is not in this position, that they are back towards the goal line, somewhere between the goal line and the 15, depending on how you pregame this. Now, as a back judge, you don't want to put the ball in the kicker's hands for them to get prepared until you know that the offense has 11 players, the returners have 11 players, that the kicking team has at least 4 players on each side of the ball, and that all officials are also in the proper position. So it's okay to slow down, make sure we have proper communication, and that we are all in position for this play before the referee blows their whistle for the ready for play. So let's talk about our new enforcement of penalties when a foul occurs behind the line of scrimmage. So as we talked before the season in our first edition of the Clips of the Week and in our clinic, fouls behind the line of scrimmage by either the offense or defense will be enforced from the previous spot, except for a few exceptions. So on this play, we're going to have a foul for offensive holding behind the line of scrimmage. But note that the ball is being snapped from position 5. As the play develops here, we're going to see the foul for offensive holding behind the line of scrimmage, and the foul occurs near position 2. The runner goes outside and is tackled outside of position 1. So in years past, we would have simply enforced the penalty from the spot of the foul, which included the loss of the yardage as it occurred from behind the line of scrimmage. This year, we are enforcing from the previous spot. Now, what we don't see on this clip is where the crews position the ball. However, just to clarify, because we saw several enforcement errors this past week, when we say previous spot, we mean previous spot. So here we're snapping from position 5. And although the holding occurred behind the line of scrimmage near position 2, we're going to go back to position 5 and enforce the penalty from there. So one mechanic we wanted to spend some time on this week was reverse goal line mechanics when we're snapping between the 6 and 10 yard line and we're using a center judge. We saw all sorts of variations on film of how crews were officiating this type of play. On the screen, though, you can see from our mechanics manual what we're asking officials to do this year when snapping between the 6 and the 10 yard line and using a center judge. So the short side referee or center judge will have the end line, while the wide side will start wider but at a normal depth and work towards the goal line as they can after the snap. The wide side wing will maintain line of scrimmage responsibility, while the short side will move towards the goal line after the snap and help bracket the goal line with the wide side referee or center judge. This is something that's definitely worth time in your pregame to go over the mechanics. Let's take a look at a couple of clips from this past week. So on this first play here, we have the ball being snapped from the 6 to 7 yard line. And we can see that we have both officials on the goal line, but we have no official with the end line. In this case, the referee is towards the short side of the field, so they would have end line responsibility. The center judge should line up in a normal depth, slightly wider than normal, and work towards the goal line after the snap. This means the line judge in this case would also work backwards towards the goal line to help bracket that, leaving the head linesman responsible for the line of scrimmage. Now, should we have a bad snap or something here, it's going to be difficult to officiate that end line. So let's compare that to this crew. Very similar position on the field. The ball is being snapped from the 8 yard line. The referee is on the short side of the field, so they'll have end line responsibility. We can't see them on frame at this point. The center judge is in excellent position, great depth, and they're a little bit wider than normal. The head linesman will have line of scrimmage responsibility. And while we can't see the line judge, they would work back towards the goal line to help bracket with the center judge. So we can see here as the angle of the film widens that the referee is in excellent position on the end line. The center judge has moved towards the goal line. We can't see the line judge, but they have moved towards the goal line as well. So an excellent job by this crew on officiating this play with reverse goal line mechanics between the 6 and the 10 yard line. Now let's talk about reverse goal line mechanics from the 5 and in. As always, wings will still have goal line responsibility, and their immediate first move needs to be back towards the goal line at the snap. This is an excellent opportunity to use your radios prior to the play to make sure everyone is on the same page. In this case, we have a snap from the 5, and our wing stays put. So we want to make sure the head linesman has moved back towards the goal line on that in case there's a bad snap or the runner is threatened near the goal line. Now we have goal line mechanics going in. The ball is being snapped here from the 5 yard line. And the wings, your first movement should be towards the goal line. Also, please note that we have somebody near the pylon. Appears to maybe be a photographer or videographer, but they should not be standing there. That's our area. So it's important for us as officials to make sure the area between the goal line and the 5 yard line there is clear. This is also the short side of the field. If we get action that way, as officials, we want to work as wide as possible to make sure that we are safe. And this person is also in harm's way, not to mention in the way of us being able to officiate this play. So let's clean up this area and get people out of the way. Now, as this play develops here, we're going to see that the action indeed does go that way. Our wing has not moved toward the goal line at all. Now, this is an incomplete pass, but had it been completed and that receiver was tackled near the goal line, we're not in position to be able to properly rule on whether or not this was a score. So let's make sure that we clean up that area, get people out of the way, but that we're also moving towards the goal line at the snap. Finally, let's look at the new back judge mechanic. And as a reminder, this year, we're asking the back judges to line up 20 yards from the line of scrimmage, including when we're snapping between the 10 and the 20. As we can see on this play, the line of scrimmage is the 13-yard line, and we have the back judge on the end line. Now, that's what we used to do in the past, but this year we're asking that the back judges line up in the middle of the end zone at the start of the play, read and adapt from there. And on this play, we're going to see a clear run, and it's at this point the back judge should be moving towards the line of scrimmage. Now, this is an easy call in this game. It's obvious that the runner scores, but we would like to see the back judge move towards the goal line there so that they are primary for the goal line on this type of play, as it's likely that a wing could be trailing this play. So let's compare that play to this play. It's very similar. We have the line of scrimmage around the 13-yard line. The back judge this time is lined up correctly in the end zone, about 6 to 7 yards deep. And again, the back judge needs to be responsible for reading the play and adjusting to it as necessary. If they're threatened, they can work back towards the end line. But if it's a short pass or run, they need to work towards the goal line. So on this play here, we're going to get a run, and we're going to see that the back judge does a great job of working towards the goal line. It's not a rush, but it is a deliberate move towards the goal line. The line judge cannot go down the line because the action in front of them prevents them from doing so. Now, again, this is not a difficult call. It's clearly a touchdown, but the back judge is in excellent position. So had the runner been tackled near the goal line, they are in excellent position to rule on this while the line judge is having to trail. So great job by this crew to officiate this play using the new mechanics. Well, that's it for this week's edition of the Clips of the Week. As always, we appreciate your support. If you have any questions about the rulings or clips in this video, please direct those to Kevin Hatfield, our Oregon SRI. His email is on the screen. If you have a play that you think is informative and educational and you'd like us to review, please send that to the email address on your screen to the Portland Football Officials Association. Good luck in your upcoming games this week. We'll see you next week.